Hi everyone. Over the past sort of 2 weeks, I've spent a lot of time outside, both by myself and with friends working on this. It's my weather station power distribution setup. I wanted to share a little bit about this, but keep it fairly simple, especially for those who aren't inclined in electricity. Essentially, this half of the box is dedicated to the weather station, and this half is dedicated to safety. So let me focus on the safety part first, and then I'll talk a little bit about the weather station. This section right here is focused on some floodlights that I'm making for the weather station. Two of them will shine up on it, and that's so if the wind speed sensor doesn't look right, I could come out here and turn on a light and have a look if the cups that do the spinning have gone offline, have literally flown off of it, or there's a bearing inside there that conceivably will seize at some point. So the light switch is partly for that. I've also got this. I don't know how well it's going to show because we're daytime right now, but there's a light here and a light here, and this is sort of to give some light around the ground if emergency maintenance needs to happen at night time. Now, a flashlight still could be used, but this is going to provide more of a broad overview, more of a safety approach to it. And it's the same as the light here and the one right here. Is to see all the labels. You'll see in a close-up that I've got the main wires in here labeled, so that it's easy to understand what I was thinking about when I created this, and if something happens, to try to track down what's gone wrong. You know, all this is copper braided wire. It's high gauge, meaning it's very thin. Copper becomes brittle when it gets cold. So an example of this would be a burst copper water pipe where you just got water sort of spewing out like a fire hydrant flush. So these wires will become brittle in the winter, and if something goes offline, it would help trace where it's from and what needs to happen to change it out. In the center here, I've put a pair of 12-volt computer desktop cooling fans. Now I don't have the last part set up, but this is for dehydrating the air. So it's to prevent condensation. So if you think about getting a cold glass of water in the middle of summer, you come outside and it just gets all sweaty, and the hot and the cold have met, causing condensation on a mug. The same thing happens here in the bit of heat that's given off because of electricity. So this is to pull the humidity out of the air as best as is practical. I think it's worth pointing out right here, so this little guy here is a 12-volt DC step-down power regulator. In common English, it takes 12 volts and drops it down to whatever I've got it set for. Right now it's set for 3.1 volt DC, and that's to match what the sensor needs. So, in practical terms, you can't trench 3.2 volt DC, basically two AA batteries. The electricity turns to heat over a long span and disappears, it just sort of goes away because it's now heat. You know, you might see hydro wires, the main transmission wires, you know, bow because they've got a lot of power flowing in them in the peak of summer when people are running their window air conditioners or their central AC. It's the same type of idea. You can trench 12 volt DC though, and then change it down into 3.2 volt or whatever it is that you're needing. And that's exactly what I've done here. This ultimately is powered by the electrical grid, and I've got a battery backup UPS to keep it online and to protect from a power surge. Additionally, on the sides here and also on the other side, and even on the USB charging port that's just out of frame, I have fuses on all the switches. And the reason for this is if the power arcs, that'll pop and protect this mess, instead of frying the electronics or damaging the sensor. What this is has been sort of a broad overview of what I've been working on. It's to give people ideas. I'll tell you why I undertook this, if you're still watching at this point in the video. Part of it's challenging myself. You know, this is not in a textbook somewhere. I've had to do a lot of research, and you know, it's a lot of math. So it's part mentally challenging, and the physical setup has also been physically challenging, but that's what's made it so rewarding. You know, the parts that are higher up, a friend of mine spent 3 hours on a ladder here 2 days ago getting the stuff set up that's on higher up. And I've also had help with the digging a trench because it's not something I can practically do. But all in all, the project's coming together and I'll be able to move on to the next thing. Oh, I really hope within about 2 weeks. It's been more work than I had expected, but on the other hand, it has been rewarding. So I just wanted to share mainly what I've been working on. And then when I've not been working on this, I've needed a lot of rest. I was feeling exceptionally weak last night and different times during the past week where I've just had to take it easy on my body. And instead of playing a racing car game before going to bed, I actually played some golf with some online friends. Just you know, where you're racing the car, you have to sort of pay attention to what you're doing. The playing the golf isn't as intense and something that I could take care of and focus on, but not with the same level of attention and detail that the golf or that the racing car game requires. Anyway, that's what I've been working on. I hope everyone's doing well. Bye for now.